What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Tool Time. In this video we'll be looking at the Type on a Path tool in Adobe Illustrator. And if you want to follow along, then you can download a free template file for this lesson from the description below. Okay, as usual, I'm going to pass you over to our lead designer Rory, who will show you how it works.
Thanks Ross. So we can find the Type on a Path tool over on the left hand side of our toolbar, and this sits underneath the regular type tool. So if I click and hold on that, you can see it's the third option down here. However, I'm just going to leave the normal type tool selected, as we can actually type on a path with the regular type tool as long as it's an open path. We have a simple path set up over here. If I hover over it, you'll see my cursor changes, and if I simply click, we now get text being placed along this path. I'm just going to type out some custom text here instead. I'm going to highlight it and then just grab my eyedropper tool from the left hand side and copy the formatting from the text on our example on the left. Now I'm going to go over to my selection tool and we'll take a closer look at how the Type on a Path tool works. So if we zoom in, you can see we have a few different lines here, and these basically denote the start point, end point, and the baseline alignment. So on the left hand side we have our start point. As you can see, there's a small icon underneath my cursor which denotes this with an arrow pointing to the right. I can drag this to change where the start point of this text is. In this case, I'm just going to drag it right along to the left edge of this path. This is the same on the right hand side. Again, if I hover over this line, you can see that it has a small arrow to the left hand side, so I can adjust this to adjust the end point. Now this text is centered. Of course, if I was to left align this, we can actually change where it's aligning to based on the start and end points as well. I'm going to go back to center line though. This small line in the middle denotes the alignment to the baseline, so basically I can flip this. So if I click and drag on it, we can actually flip the text to align underneath the path as well. So this will come in handy in our next example, which we'll move on to now. So I'm going to scroll down. We have a couple of circles here, and we are going to place some text around the outer circle. So again, I can do this by selecting my Type on a Path tool and hovering over this outer circle path and click anywhere. This is simply placing text around the whole circle. Now again, if I switch to my normal selection tool, we have our start and end points. So the same thing applies here. You may have to zoom in to see these start and end points and the baseline alignment line as well. They can be quite tricky to find at times. What I'm going to do in this case is I want to create text perfectly on the top half of the circle and then again on the bottom half of the circle. So as it stands, this is just wrapping around the entire circle. So I'm going to press Command Z to go back to our original circle. I'm going to grab my direct selection tool, and what I want to do is create two semicircles or two open paths from this, and we're going to apply text to each of those paths. So this is a nice easy way to do it. I'm just going to click and drag over the bottom anchor point here, press Command X or Control X on a PC, and then Command F or Control F on a PC to paste it back in place. If I go back to my normal selection tool, you can see we now have two separate semicircle paths that make up this circle. Again, I'll grab my Type on a Path tool and I'll just click on the top path and we'll just say above. Again, we'll switch to our direct selection tool, and I'm just going to drag the start point back to the start of this path. Sometimes the end point isn't exactly on the end point as well, so you can adjust that also. I'm going to grab my Type on a Path tool again, and I'm going to click on the bottom path and type out below. Now you'll see here we have a slight issue. I'm going to adjust the start and end points again so that they go to the ends of this path, but you'll see our below text is essentially flowing the wrong way. We want to flip this. So what I can do here, using my baseline alignment line here, click and drag up the way, and we are changing the alignment of that. However, now it's aligning on top of this path, and so is the text above. So we're not getting that nice feeling that it's wrapping around a consistent circle. So what we need to do is go into our Type on a Path options. So what I'll do first is select both of these, and I'm just going to adjust some of the formatting. Again, I'll grab my eyedropper tool, scroll across to the left, and I'm just going to take take the formatting from the text on the left hand side. That's going to be a little bit more appropriately sized. And now I'm going to double click on my type on a path tool. So if I do that, you'll see we get type on a path options here. Now we can actually adjust the effect. At the moment it's actually wrapping around this path. You can see we have a few more options here. If I choose something like skew and click preview, you can see the text is maintaining its vertical rotation and it's being skewed based on the path. We have a few more options within here that can create some quite interesting looks. However, most of the time you're going to be sticking with rainbow. We also have a flip checkbox here, and if I click that, that is another way to flip the text on its baseline. But the option we really want to pay attention to here is align to path. So at the moment this is set to baseline. If I drop this menu down, we have a few more options here. We can align to the ascender so that the path is sitting above the text. We also have descender, which is similar to baseline, although you can see it sits a little bit off the path. And the one that we want to choose here is center. So that's actually going to align the text to the center of the path, which means we're going to get a consistent look in this example. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK, and there we have it. So that's a brief overview of the type on a path tool in Adobe Illustrator.